In the fast-moving world of Formula One, where every decision and tiny detail can mean the difference between winning and losing, even the most experienced champions can run into unexpected challenges. The 2025 Australian Grand Prix was a perfect example of this, as Lewis Hamilton's much-anticipated first race with Ferrari did not turn into a story of victory. Instead, it became a lesson in the complexities of teamwork and communication, showing just how crucial these factors are in the high-stakes environment of motorsport. The union of Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari was heralded as a monumental shift in the racing landscape. Fans and pundits alike envisioned a symphony of speed and strategy, with Hamilton's unparalleled skill harmonizing with Ferrari's storied legacy. However, the Australian Grand Prix served as a stark reminder that even the most promising collaborations require time to mature. Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari debut turned into a masterclass in frustration. From radio clashes with his new race engineer to a questionable strategy call in the rain, this race had it all. We'll break down the key moments, analyze the fallout, and see what this means for Hamilton and Ferrari moving forward. Let's get into it. It all started with the radio. Lewis Hamilton, known for his laser focus during races, found himself in a back and forth with his new race engineer, Riccardo Adami. Adami, who previously worked with Sebastian Vettel, was trying to guide Hamilton through the race, but Hamilton wasn't having it.
Please. But with timing there, but good work.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but it's good to come to the end and keep pushing.
The tension peaked when Adami repeatedly reminded Hamilton to use the K1 button, a setting that helps with overtaking. Hamilton's response: "Lead me to it, please. Just lead me to it with the DRS. It's not an issue." This wasn't just a one-off. Throughout the race, Hamilton seemed frustrated with the level of communication, at one point snapping, "I'm not close enough. When I'm close, I'll do it." It's clear that Hamilton, who spent 12 years with his former engineer Bono at Mercedes, is still adjusting to Adami's style. But here's the thing. This isn't just about Hamilton. Ferrari boss Fred Vasseur admitted after the race that the team needs to improve its communication. It was not the issue of Lewis, it was the issue of the team. We need to find the level of communication between the team, the drivers, and engineers, Vasseur said. If the radio drama wasn't enough, Ferrari's strategy during the race left everyone scratching their heads. As rain poured down at Albert Park, Hamilton and teammate Charles Leclerc were left out on slick tires, a decision that backfired spectacularly. Hamilton, known for his ability to adapt to changing conditions, immediately called out the danger. "It's too dangerous. We have to stop," he said over the radio. But by then, it was too late. The track was soaked, and Hamilton struggled to keep the car on the road, eventually finishing 10th. This wasn't just a bad call, it was a missed opportunity. Hamilton didn't join Ferrari to fight for points, he's there to win, and this kind of mistake, it's exactly what he left Mercedes to avoid. The fallout from this race has been brutal. Fans took to social media to roast Ferrari's strategy, with one user saying, "Adami was about to key the mic and tell 44 that Piastri was approaching the corner from the outside line, but then remembered to just leave 44 to it." Another commented, "Hamilton's frustration is going to go through the roof, and I think may cause a mental breakdown for him. There are signs there already. Professionals at Ferrari are not servants that will put the toys back in the pram for him at his command." Executives at Ferrari need to make this very clear like yesterday. If it turns into a full-blown War of the Roses, it ain't going to be a successful bid for the WDC. The competitor's picador has already begun his work. Better get it together this week. Analysts were equally critical. Former F1 driver Karun Chandhok pointed out that Hamilton and Adami need time to build their relationship. "They are still at round one. They need to find their feet," he said. But not everyone is writing Ferrari off just yet. Hamilton himself praised Adami after the race, saying, "Riccardo did a really good job. We're learning about each other bit by bit." Still, the pressure is on. Ferrari spent big to bring Hamilton in, and this rocky start isn't what anyone expected. Let's not forget, this is Lewis Hamilton's first season with Ferrari after 11 years at Mercedes. Transitioning to a new team is never easy, especially when you're used to a certain way of working. At Mercedes, Hamilton had a near-telepathic relationship with his race engineer, Peter Bono Bonington. They knew each other inside out, and that trust was built over a decade. With Ferrari, Hamilton is starting from scratch. As Chandok noted, if we had access to the 2013 Mercedes radio, he and Bono wouldn't have been flowing as they were years later. This is a process, and it's going to take time. But for a driver of Hamilton's caliber, patience isn't exactly a luxury. So what does this mean for Ferrari? Well, it's clear that they have work to do. The team's communication issues and strategic missteps are nothing new. But with Hamilton in the mix, the stakes are higher than ever. Hamilton didn't join Ferrari to play second fiddle. He's there to win championships. And if Ferrari can't get their act together, this partnership could turn sour fast. But here's the silver lining. It's only round one. There's plenty of time to iron out the kinks and get back on track. As Hamilton said, I think Riccardo did a really good job. We're learning about each other bit by bit. We just need to, after this, we'll download. We'll go through all the comments, things I said, and vice versa. And generally, I'm not one that likes a lot of information in the race. Unless I need it, I'll ask for it, but he did his best today. As the season progresses, all eyes will be on how Hamilton and Ferrari evolve from this experience. The journey to the top is seldom a straight path, but with introspection and adaptability, this partnership holds the potential to redefine racing excellence. The debut race may not have been the fairy tale start that fans hoped for, but it laid the foundation for a narrative rich with challenges and triumphs. As Hamilton and Ferrari work through these initial hurdles, the racing world watches with bated breath, anticipating a resurgence that could etch their collaboration into the annals of motorsport history. Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari debut was tougher than expected, marked by tense radio exchanges and strategic missteps. Adapting to a new team comes with challenges, but his experience and determination suggest these early struggles will only drive him towards success. One thing's for sure, Hamilton isn't going to settle for mediocrity. If Ferrari can rise to the occasion, this could still be a match made in heaven. But if not, well, let's just say the pressure will only keep building.
Sector 3, the wettest.
Is more rain coming?
Negative. Just this. Hopefully. Let's see. Still raining in the pit lane.
Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari debut at the Australian Grand Prix didn't go according to plan. The 7-time Formula One world champion finished 10th in his first race with the Italian team. Hamilton described the experience as a big crash course after a challenging day in Melbourne. The highly anticipated debut marked the beginning of a new chapter for Hamilton. After his significant move from Mercedes to Ferrari, Ferrari fans had high expectations, but Hamilton's first outing in the iconic red car proved more difficult than many anticipated. The Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne served as the season opener for the 2025 Formula One Championship. Hamilton qualified in 8th position on the starting grid, showing promise, but not the dominance many had hoped for. The British driver spent the first half of the race running in 8th position, unable to advance as he found himself stuck behind Williams driver Alex Albon. The race took a dramatic turn when a mid-race safety car period bunched up the field ahead of a heavy rain shower. Most teams made the strategic decision to pit their drivers due to safety concerns as the track became increasingly treacherous. Ferrari, however, kept Hamilton out on track. They informed the multi-time world champion over the radio that it would only be a short spell of rain. This decision initially seemed to pay off as Hamilton rose to 3rd place and even briefly led the race. However, the conditions soon deteriorated, becoming too slippery for slick tires. This forced Hamilton to eventually pit. In the closing stages of the race, the Ferrari driver was overtaken by McLaren's Oscar Piastri on the final lap, ultimately finishing with just 1 point. The race ended with Hamilton crossing the line 22.243 seconds behind winner Lando Norris. It was a disappointing result for a driver accustomed to standing on the podium. Following the race, Hamilton spoke candidly to reporters about his experience. He said this, "As per the New York Times, it was definitely a big crash course. I'm just grateful I kept it out of the wall." The British driver revealed he felt in the deep end as he had not driven the Ferrari car in wet conditions prior to the race. This lack of experience significantly impacted his confidence in the car's handling.
It's very tricky and went a lot worse than I thought that it would go, and the car was really hard to drive today. So, I mean, for me, I'm just grateful that I kept it out of the wall. because that's really where we wanted to go most of the time. But
Hamilton also commented on the difficulties of adjusting to the new car.
But a lot to take from it, and also just getting acclimatized to the new power unit in the wet conditions, all the settings that it requires a different way of driving, a different setup on the steering wheel.
He admitted lacking confidence throughout most of the race, explaining, "I didn't have any confidence in the car and was nearly in the wall most of the time." Despite these challenges, Hamilton remained optimistic about the car's potential. "I do believe the car has more performance than we were able to extract this weekend." He plans to make changes to the car setup for the next race, saying, "I've learned a huge amount this weekend. There's a lot to take away from it. I've got some changes I've got to make for next week, and I'll see how it goes." The race highlighted communication problems between Hamilton and his new race engineer, Riccardo Adami. Ferrari's decision to keep Hamilton out during the late rain shower proved costly. The team told Hamilton it would be a short shower, leading him to stay out on slick tires while other drivers pitted for intermediates.
We tried to, but I mean, the information I got was that it's just a short shower, real quick. And at the time, it was only in the last corner, so for me, I was like, the rest of the track was dry. I can keep this on track if that's all that's coming, and then more came.
Hamilton explained the situation. After coming into the pits and realizing how far down the order he had fallen, Hamilton told his race engineer on the radio it was a missed opportunity for the team. Throughout the race, Hamilton's radio interactions with Adami were notable. As he struggled to make progress, Hamilton could be heard repeatedly saying, "Leave it to me," to Adami after being offered guidance from the pit wall. This approach to communication became a topic of discussion after the race. The communication was fraught throughout the race, but reached a critical point when heavy rain hit in the final 10 laps. The teams had to make fast decisions about whether to switch to intermediate tires. Hamilton and teammate Charles Leclerc were told to stay out while the leaders pitted to change tires. This decision led to them eventually being forced to pit 2 laps later, losing track position during a safety car period. Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur acknowledged the communication issues and promised improvements. Vasseur said, "It's the first race. The first time we have to communicate between the pit wall and the car, but we can do a better job to know each other a bit better." Vasseur admitted Ferrari made the wrong call on strategy and committed to reviewing the matter before the next race in China. He said, "For sure, it was not a clean one at all, but the strategy was difficult. Probably we need to find a better way to communicate between the car and the pit wall. We will learn from this one, but it's not an issue." He emphasized the need for better communication between the team and their new driver. "We need to improve the communication and to understand what Lewis is expecting from that communication. It's only in these kinds of situations that we can learn and be much better next week." Vasseur also highlighted the difficulty of the weekend itself as contributing to Hamilton's frustrating debut. The weekend was quite extreme for different reasons. The fact that Albert Park is not a permanent track, the fact the group is changing a lot, and the fact that we had these conditions, I think it's probably been one of the most difficult weekends to manage. Regarding the strategy errors during the rain, Vasseur explained, "It was a strange situation because sectors 1 and 2 were still dry, and Sector 3 was completely wet, and it was a kind of a bet. I think that Red Bull and us, we bet on the fact that we had to stay on track and to wait for the last part of the race with slicks. We made the wrong call because I think the best option was to pit the same lap as Max, and we made the wrong call at that stage." Not everyone was sympathetic to Hamilton's challenging debut. Former Williams manager Peter Windsor criticized Hamilton's performance, calling it embarrassing. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Windsor said,
"In the wet." And there's a lot of weird radio transmissions going on with Ferrari as well, almost becoming uncomfortable, with Charles Leclerc giving his engineer a hard time for saying the water that you're feeling in the cockpit, by which he meant must be from the water bottle, but he didn't say all that. And then Charles said, "Well, yeah, thanks for stating the obvious." I know that'll go viral and everybody will think it's very funny, but I don't think it's particularly funny in the middle of a race when an engineer quite clearly is trying to help the driver. Anyway, that was that. And then on the Lewis side, they were giving Lewis quite a lot of instructions on how to try to get past Alex Albon to do with the DRS and various switches. And he kept saying, "I can handle it, I can handle it." Well, Lewis, you didn't handle it.
Windsor continued with sharp criticism.
And he never got past Alex Albon. And I think for a Ferrari driver to get beaten, admittedly in his first Grand Prix, but him to get outraced by Alex Albon in a Williams is a bit embarrassing, to be honest.
The former manager also questioned Hamilton's approach to team communication.
And I was a bit surprised that Lewis was taking that rather dogmatic approach on the radio, because I'm sure on the pit wall they were thinking, what is going on here? Why can't he get past him?
Hamilton's arrival at Ferrari came at the expense of Carlos Sainz, who, despite strong performances, found himself without a seat at the team. Sainz, who finished 5th in the 2024 standings and was the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race in 2023, moved to Williams for the 2025 season. Hamilton has always been motivated by those who doubt him. Before his Ferrari debut, he had a clear message for skeptics. He told this to Time magazine, "Don't ever compare me to anyone else. I'm the first and only black driver that's ever been in this sport. I'm built different. I'm hungry, driven, don't have a wife or kids. I'm focused on one thing, and that's winning." This determination remains intact despite the challenging start with Ferrari. Hamilton's move to the Italian team has created significant buzz in the Formula One world, with fans excited to see the sport's most successful driver in the iconic red car.
Lewis, a new environment for you, plenty of unknown faces, but you got Angela back at your side. How important is it to have some familiar faces around, and don't you wish you could have more people that you know around you in this transition period, let's say?
I mean, it's always important to have a good foundation of people around you. I've generally had a very good...
A 7-time Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton has made headlines again, but this time it's not about his groundbreaking move to Ferrari. Instead, the F1 world is buzzing about his reunion with former trainer Angela Cullen ahead of his Ferrari debut. During preseason testing in Bahrain, Hamilton opened up about bringing Cullen back into his inner circle as he embarks on his new Ferrari journey. Hamilton stated, "It's always important to have a good foundation of people around you. I've generally had a very good base for many, many years, so I still have all the team that I had last year, but I've brought Ange in on top of that." The timing of this reunion is particularly significant, as Hamilton prepares for perhaps the most anticipated team switch in recent F1 history. He's choosing to surround himself with someone who knows him better than almost anyone in the paddock. This calculated move speaks volumes about how much Hamilton values Cullen's presence. Hamilton and Cullen first joined forces back in 2016, with the New Zealand physiotherapist becoming a constant fixture in the Mercedes garage during Hamilton's dominant years. Their partnership lasted until early 2023, when they unexpectedly parted ways ahead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, a split that left many F1 fans confused and questioning why. During their 7 years together, Hamilton secured multiple world championships with Cullen by his side. Their bond clearly transcended the typical trainer-athlete relationship, as Hamilton himself emphasized when discussing their reunion. Hamilton said, "We have a great relationship, me and Ange. We've known each other for a long, long time. We've gone through a lot together." This statement highlights the depth of their connection, forged through championship battles, controversies, and the extreme pressures of competing at F1's highest level. After their separation, Cullen spent time away from the F1 circus, focusing on family and personal exploration. She took a couple of years out, and she spent time with her family and discovering the world. During this period, Cullen briefly worked in IndyCar with fellow New Zealander Marcus Armstrong, even admitting she thought her time in motorsport had concluded. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of this reunion story is how it came about. Hamilton personally reached out to Cullen, specifically inviting her to join him on his Ferrari adventure. Hamilton said, "Asking her to come and start this new chapter with me and her accepting it was really exciting. This wasn't simply a team hiring decision. It was a personal request from one of the greatest drivers in F1 history to someone he clearly trusts implicitly." The fact that Hamilton made this invitation speaks volumes about how much he values Cullen's contribution to his success and well-being. What makes this even more remarkable is Cullen's acceptance. After stepping away from F1 and building a life outside the sport's intense bubble, she chose to return specifically for Hamilton. Their reunion has already proven fruitful, according to Hamilton. "We've been having a blast. This past month together has been really awesome." The images of Cullen back in the paddock, now dressed in Ferrari red instead of Mercedes silver, quickly went viral across F1 social media channels. She was spotted at Hamilton's first on-track outing in January and remained present during the official preseason test in Bahrain. Former F1 driver Johnny Herbert offered particularly insightful analysis on what Cullen brings to Hamilton's performance. Speaking to CasinoApps.com, Herbert explained, "It's an interesting one. What Angela Cullen gives to Lewis is that stability, mental stability, that he has the right people around him giving him the right vibes that he needs when he gets in the car." Herbert's comments cut to the heart of why this reunion matters so much for Hamilton's Ferrari prospects. In Formula One, where the mental game is just as crucial as physical skill or car performance, having someone who provides psychological security can make a genuine difference. Herbert continued, "That's down to the relationship that he and Angela had before. I'm still not totally sure what happened when they split, but it's great that that relationship has come back." The veteran driver and commentator sees this reunion as beneficial across the board. If it benefits Lewis, great. If it benefits Angela, great. And if it benefits Ferrari and Formula One, brilliant. For Lewis, it's something fresh. This is something that's really positive. Herbert's analysis underscores a critical point. Cullen's contribution goes far beyond physical training. She provides the mental foundation that allows Hamilton to perform at his peak, something that will be absolutely essential as he adapts to the pressure cooker environment of Ferrari. The F1 fan base responded with immediate excitement when news of the Hamilton-Cullen reunion broke. Social media platforms exploded with reactions, with many seeing this as a master stroke by Hamilton as he transitions to Ferrari. One fan summed up the prevailing sentiment perfectly. "If anyone knows how to get the best out of Lewis, it's Angela. This is a power move in every sense." The reunion has been widely described as a calculated power move by Hamilton, demonstrating his understanding of what he needs to succeed in this new chapter. Throughout their years together at Mercedes, Cullen was far more than just a physiotherapist. She was described as Hamilton's rock, a close confidant who understood his psychological and physiological requirements both on and off the track. Fans believe Cullen's presence will help Hamilton adapt to Ferrari's unique culture and environment, something that has challenged many drivers in the past. With the intense scrutiny that comes with wearing the famous red suit, having Cullen's familiar and reassuring presence could prove invaluable for Hamilton's mental state. A fascinating discussion has emerged in F1 circles following the reunion announcement. Exactly how many tenths of a second might Cullen's presence be worth to Hamilton on track? While impossible to quantify precisely, this question highlights the performance impact many believe Cullen brings. Hamilton and Cullen's partnership coincided with some of the most dominant performances in F1 history. Now, as Hamilton targets an unprecedented 8th World Championship with Ferrari, many wonder if Cullen's return might provide the marginal gain needed to achieve this historic feat. The exact impact of Cullen's contribution to Hamilton's racing prowess remains difficult to measure in pure lap time. However, the consensus among F1 observers is that her return will significantly boost his confidence and overall performance as he adapts to his new team.